I wanted to take you with me this morning on our morning chore routine. It doesn't have all the chores involved in it, but it has the ones that, merit a little bit more. I wanted to talk to you first about this feed that I'm scooping. This is the feed that we make at home. I do have a video about how we make this feed and what the protein value is of it, but it's a feed that I love. It's pretty universal for a lot of our critters here, including the pigs. These are gilts. Well, they're sows now because they've had their first litter of pigs. And seeing as it's trying to be fall time here, uh, things are a little bit more chewed up, a little bit more dirt than pasture. And these girls have a serious, serious thing with dig, 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 digging, which they're pigs. They're supposed to dig. However, they are over and beyond what I'm used to for this age of pig to be digging the way that they are. The only thing that I can say is that there must be like cicada larvae or something like that in the ground that they are really trying to get. They have completely destroyed this pen. This pen will be reseeded, and they will be shut off a portion of it so that they have some greens coming back. They do have access to hay though, and I know that it's not quite green grass and things like that, but it is a sense of forage for them, and it does have some vitamins and minerals and essential things that they do um, get from the grass or would get from the grass that they can then continue to get from the hay. Also, they really like to play with the hay. The big boy that you see in the back is Ozzy, and he is now in his own pen. He was with the girls. We should be farrowing somewhere around November, which for us is a little bit off season because we usually don't breed twice a year. However, with these girls and how they've been with being moms, I do think it's appropriate for them just because they do very well. They are really good as a group, and so we're going to test it out. We've done it once before, but it did not work out so well. The Minnesota weather kind of shot that in the foot for us, and it was a little bit of a rough go for those piglets. But November should be just fine. Let them deep and let them sleep is my kind of motto for those kind of weathers. But this is Oz, and he is a massive, massive boy. He is a old spot Duroc cross, and he is the sole boar that we have currently. And he's just a beast of a boy. He's a beast of a boy. That's his happy tail. He's super happy to get feed. Um, and then to the cows. So I usually carry a, I guess you could say it's like a driving crop, a driving whip with me, and literally this is an extension of my hand. So if I want them to move out of my way before I get there, then this is how I do it. Not very many of our animals are aggressive at all. Obviously, the bulls you really do have to watch out for because they're boys, and they can do some damage if their opinions don't align with yours. But I don't beat on them. I don't push them fast, those kind of things. I'm very respectful of their space in the notion that they're respectful of mine. It's kind of, in a way, you could say a bit like my bodyguard for those who can get a little bit pushy, something like the pigs or the bigger cows like these guys. Prophet is in here. He's that third one from the water as he's walking. Uh, big, big guy. So you can understand, the air of caution. These cows are very calm. They're very mellow, and I like to keep them that way. So pushing them hard and fast is not something that I like to do. They do get a little bit less grain than they once did before because their calves are in the process of weaning, and so their nutrition goes down. Their nutrition requirements go down a little bit, and so we don't try to push the nutrition as hard to try to stay away from things like mastitis or really really tight udders when nobody's nursing on them. Those kind of things. These calves they're about 8 months old, so they've had their time with mom. And this is the new bug catchers that we got. This is Shay's Pride and Joy. These are peacocks, and they're pretty cool. So speaking of the calves, this guy right here is a Philius calf from this last fall, winter. This is 7. and he is a dairy, so full blood dairy. Ophelia is a shorthorn Holstein cross, and so he is a cross on that. His father was a red and white Holstein. He's a little bit on the little side. It's just kind of he's always been kind of little. But being in here with the Cavs is also giving him a chance to get out of the big herd and not get pushed around and really get his groceries up. It's definitely something that he needs as he is growing. Not maybe so wide right now, but definitely getting tall. And this one that's giving me a hard time is O. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tell him that he needs to walk past me, and he's giving me a little bit of guff about it. The calves, I usually don't bring anything with me because they're not very aggressive. The only thing you really have to worry about with them is that their feet might fly a little bit if you get too close to their hinder. And so I usually try to take, a decent roundabout, um, to make sure that everybody is happy with the situation. I'm not pushing anybody past a certain point. Cows do have, when you walk past their shoulder, they really kind of get the will to move. It's just kind of how their body language works, and just making sure that everybody's at the bunk where they need to be. Always kind of being a little bit of a turd. That the black one with the white legs, he's kind of being a little bit of a turd with these heifers. But all in all, he tones down. He's a bigger guy, and so he is a little bit higher on the pecking order. But all these guys get a chance to get something to eat, and when he settles down, everything is no fuss, no muss. These calves are the better part of 8 months old, so they haven't really been nursing heavily off of mom for quite some time. They, go out and graze with the herd and things like that when they were with their mother, but for the most part, very minimal milk was ingested by them at this age. It was more or less like a comfort thing. It's a little bit of a stressful time for them in this transition, so we are trying to keep things as mellow and calm and routine as possible. I mean, with those practices, we found that they transition really, really well. And with the calves being fed, now it is time to get the goats done and over with. So I have two boys currently. One is an intact male and one is not. Um, and they usually get fed first, and that way they can kind of do their thing and eat their grain while I'm doing the things with the girls. I have done my best to completely transition over off of like a pelleted type of feed to something that is a bit more correct for us and them. They seem to really, really like this feed that I have them on, and it is basically the same thing that I give most everything else. It's a really, really balanced ration. I am doing a top dress of this goat balancer. It's about a 20% grain, and also you can't forget to feed the hoop barn chicken. But it's a 20% type of top dress, and I just find that it makes things just a little bit more palatable for them. It kind of covers the bases that maybe the grain has missed. I am also doing a little bit of beet pulp with molasses, as these guys are really not into going out and foraging or grazing in pasture. They have access to it 24/7, but they just really choose not to do that. And so I'm trying to make sure that they're getting the fiber that they need also in their diet, because fiber is pretty important to ruminants. Um, and especially in the life stages that they're in, they really need to make sure that they have a little bit less of a carb and a little bit more of a fiber. So, like any good critter, if there's something in the feed that they like better than the other things, they tend to pick through it. So I do a fair amount of mixing to make sure that all the things are well combined so that they think that the whole feed itself is something to eat, and then they don't pick, pick, pick. You might think to yourself, well, you've got a whole bunch of little pans there that you're mixing in. And you're absolutely right. I do clip everybody up to their own space so that they can have their own pan of feed. Nobody fights with each other. Nobody gets more than what they should. And it just kind of mitigates a lot of bullying that might happen in the feed trough. And I can really depict on who gets what and how much. And I like it like that. It's a lot less fuss and muss. I am telling Symphony to come back to her spot. She likes to hang out behind Virtue until I tell her that it's time to get your butt over here. Goats are really smart, and so it's been pretty easy to train these guys to just a hand signal. And me telling Katie to get back to her area as well. Katie usually likes to scoot around and cause a little bit of mischief when it's time to be fed, but with everybody hooked up, now it's time to divvy out what they need. So as I've got these guys all hooked up, now it's time to sweep the goat poop off of the stand. They really do like using this stand as a place in the afternoon and the overnight to kind of get off the ground. They do have more spots, but they really do like this one. I'm feeding Virtue and Tate and Katie. And then Symphony, the yellow one or red one or cream colored one, goes on the milking stand. She gets milked in the morning. We are going to transition her to once a day milking to start to dry her off because she's been in milk for quite a while. So it is appropriate to kind of let it ride now and let her system kind of calm down. Tate's always in the way, which is probably more my fault than anything because that's where I put her spot is right on the edge. But it's on the other side of a gate so she doesn't get picked on by the big girls because they still do pick on her a little bit. Uh, Today I am milking into a bucket that would get saved for the piglets that we have. And that just adds to their nutritional value as well. They kind of go crazy, wild, happy over milk of any sort, be it cow milk or goat milk. And I don't generally wipe teat ends when I'm only milking for other critters because I don't require it to be as sanitary as possible. However, after she's been expressed with milk, I will spray her down with what's called Fight Back, and it's a antibacterial spray. It's chlorhexidine based. It's a really good spray that has a cooling agent in it actually, and it likes to like close up their teat ends a little bit faster than if they didn't have anything applied to them at all. The cooling spray actually closes those teat ends almost instantly, whereas if you didn't add a spray or something like that to it to really seal up those teat ends, after milking or after nursing, those teat ends do stay open for a good 30 or so minutes. So I'd really like to get those teat ends closed up to make sure that everything, bacterial or fungal or dirt or whatever doesn't enter those orifices of the teat ends. Katie gets milked after Symphony does, and so she gets to eat her grain, and then next up is Katie. Thanks for hanging out, guys. This is Morning Chores here at Wild Ass Farm, and I look forward to having you tune in. Stay safe, stay blessed, and have a great day. I'll check you later.